Thank you for watching this video. To best support the channel, please take a moment and click the subscribe button. Also, the links to purchase this fly and the materials to tie the fly are in the description. Today we are tying up a variant of the Stayner Ducktail. Instead of using mallard flank, we're going to be using marabou. In the vise, we have a Moonlit Tagata ML301 hook in size 10. It's a barbless hook. And we are using some Semperfli Classic wax thread in red. You see me measuring out a small clump of marabou. The goal is to have that extend about a half hook length behind the curve of the hook. And we'll tie that in on top. And we'll trim out our excess so we can have this get cleaned up and have a nice smooth body. So we'll go ahead and wrap our thread back to make sure this is secured in nice and tight. And then we'll go ahead and grab some gold wire and we'll tie that in so that the wire goes almost to the hook eye, about a hook eye length behind it, and that'll be our main tie off point before we build our head. So we're going to wrap that in, tie it in nice and tight, and keep the wire on the hook side towards us so that we can begin our wraps when we're ready to build our ribbing for this fly. Now we'll go ahead and grab some peacock herl. You can grab multiple fibers. I prefer to grab one so that it can remain as consistent as possible when I'm tying these. And we'll tie that in at the tip. And we'll wrap our thread back until we get to where our marabou was tied in and advance our thread out of the way. Do nice tight touching wraps and wrap this forward and to build up the body of this fly. Be careful with your hook point. You don't want to snap your peacock. That happens all too frequently. So wrap this forward, and if you get to the point where you're running out of peacock, you'll just go ahead and, as you'll see me do right here, I'm going to go ahead and capture my peacock herl and tie that down and then wrap back to a good section of the peacock body just to make sure that I have a nice uniform body. So we'll pluck off the bad piece, and now we'll go ahead and grab a second piece of peacock to tie in moving forward. And remember, we're going to try and stay about 1 full eye length behind the eye of the hook to give us a spot to tie in our final materials and to build our head. So we'll wrap that forward with touching wraps. And now we'll go ahead and capture that and tie it in nice and tight. And once that's tied in, you can just go ahead and break it off or snip it with your scissors, whichever you prefer. And now we'll go ahead and take our gold wire and wrap that in open spiral wraps to give segmentation and durability to this peacock. Then go ahead and capture that with your thread. And once that's captured in nice and tight, with a couple of catching wraps, go ahead and support the hook with your offhand and helicopter that wire free so you get a nice clean break off point. At this time, we'll go ahead and invert our hook. So we'll use our rotary feature and flip the fly upside down so that we can tie in the throat of this fly, which is going to be another piece of hot orange marabou. You can use other colors. This fly has also been seen with red, and I've had success in a whole bunch of other different colors, but orange and red are the primary colors that I use. And you'll measure this clump out so that it goes just beyond the hook point and tie that in with a couple of catching wraps. Then take your scissors and snip the excess free. And you'll want to make sure you don't build up too much bulk here so you don't block the eye of the hook. And then we'll go ahead and flip our fly back over and build the over wing And we'll use some white marabou for that. Take another small clump, and we'll measure that small clump out so that it goes almost to the end of the original tail, and tie that in. And adjust it so that it's all on top of the hook. Tie that in with wraps that are going backwards from the eye of the hook so you don't get too close to the eye. Snip off your fibers and clean that out. And from here we'll use our thread to cover up all of our exposed marabou butts and build up a small little head. And now we'll grab our whip finish tool and we'll whip finish moving backwards away from the eye of the hook so that we're, again, not building up too much bulk right at the eye. Then clip your thread free. From here, go ahead and grab some UV resin. I like using the Raid Zap Thin. And coat the thread wraps that we have. Then spin that around to build that head nice and uniformly. And then grab your UV light and cure that head. And then you'll have a completed fly that's ready to go search for some hungry bluegill and even the surprising bass or two. The flies and all the materials, this fly and all the materials are available in the shop. Please swing by and pick them up. And if you haven't, please like and subscribe. Thank you.